There was a book in Korea that kings tried to destroy for 5 centuries. Just owning it was a death sentence. Anyone caught copying it was executed as a traitor. The royal court burned every copy they could find, and yet the book refused to die. In fact, the harder the kings tried to erase it, the more powerful it became. What was in this book? It was called the Jeonggamnok, a prophecy text that predicted the fall of Korea's longest ruling dynasty. But here's what makes this story truly extraordinary. When modern scientists and historians examined its contents, they found something no one expected. Hidden beneath the mysticism was science. Today, we uncover the shocking truth behind one of history's most dangerous forbidden books. 1. The science of comparison, a state-level monster. In the Joseon era, the market was flooded with prophecy books. One in particular, the Jeonggamnok, a popular annual fortune-telling guide, was a national sensation every New Year. It offered comfort to commoners by predicting personal luck. The state never banned it. In fact, even the royal family enjoyed it as light entertainment. But the Jeonggamnok, the secret book of prophecies, was a different beast entirely. Instead of offering warm wishes for the year, it delivered a bone-chilling ultimatum. The House of Yi, the ruling family of Joseon, shall fall, and a new king named Jeong shall establish a new world at Mount Gyeryong, a sacred mountain prophesied as the next capital. This wasn't just a prediction. It was a revolutionary manifesto, a direct call for the overthrow of the government. The annals of the Joseon dynasty, the official daily records of the kings, are stained with the fury of monarchs who encountered this book. In 1739, King Yeongjo, the 21st monarch known for his strict rule, erupted in a rage upon reading it. This Jeonggamnok is a book for thieves and rebels. Its contents are cunning and wicked beyond measure. He immediately issued a decree. Anyone caught copying or even possessing this book would face the harshest punishment. Centuries earlier, in 1418, King Taejong, the third king, known as the Iron King for his ruthless consolidation of power, dragged 2 massive crates of prophecy books into the palace courtyard and burned them publicly. It was a literal war on words. But the more the kings desperately tried to incinerate the text, the more the people whispered, "If the crown is this terrified, perhaps the world truly is about to change." 2. The science of psychology, the self-fulfilling prophecy. Modern psychologists call this phenomenon a self-fulfilling prophecy. When a belief is held strongly enough, people unconsciously act in ways that turn that belief into reality. The royal court became so obsessed with stopping the rise of a King Jeong that they grew pathologically paranoid of anyone with the surname Jeong, one of the most common surnames in Korea. This suspicion led the government to purge talented officials and marginalize innocent scholars. Driven to the edge by this very oppression, these men, now with nothing to lose, actually joined rebel groups to survive. The king's fear was creating the very rebels he feared. A prime example occurred in 1785, during the reign of King Jeongjo, the 22nd king, often considered Joseon's most enlightened ruler. A man named Hong Bok-yong was arrested for attempting to raise an actual army, using the phrase from Jeonggamnok, "The Jeong king shall build the new capital," as his rallying cry. King Jeongjo executed them all and branded the text a yoso, a sorcerous, wicked book. He launched a massive nationwide manhunt, searching every home for the forbidden pages. But the cruelty of the crackdown only acted as a boomerang. It convinced the starving masses that the end of the Yi dynasty was not just a myth, but an inevitable destiny. 3. The science of climate. Disaster from the heavens. Why did the Jeonggamnok spread like a wildfire, specifically in the later years of the dynasty? The answer lies in a global catastrophe, the Little Ice Age. Between the 17th and 19th centuries, the Earth's temperature plummeted. For Joseon, a strictly agricultural society, a drop of just 1 or 2 degrees was a death sentence. Summers were cursed with hailstorms, winters were unforgivingly frozen. The Great Gyeongsin famine of 1670 was a vision of hell. Records in the annals describe a tragedy beyond words. Over 1 million people starved to death. It was a time of absolute despair, where parents abandoned children, and the records even whisper of the unthinkable, cannibalism. Imagine the heart of a mother in those days. With not a single grain of rice to put into the mouth of her dying child, wouldn't she scream, "I wish this world would just burn to the ground"? In that moment of agony, the Jeonggamnok was no longer just a superstition. Its promise that heaven and earth shall be overturned and the old dynasty shall end was the only message of hope left. Scientifically, it was a natural disaster caused by climate change. But to those suffering in the cold, it was divine proof that the prophecy was coming true. Climate change didn't just bring famine, it gave the forbidden prophecy the ultimate authority of truth. 4. The science of survival, plagues, and the secret of the 10 havens. The Jeonggamnok, the secret book of prophecies, didn't stop at predicting war and famine. It pointed to a final, inescapable horror: Gwaejil, mysterious, unidentified epidemics. From the perspective of modern epidemiology, this was a mathematical certainty. Famine shatters the human immune system. Plague is the inevitable next step. To a starving population, hoyolia, cholera, literally the tiger-striped disease, and smallpox were the grim reapers in physical form. But here is where the book turns from a dark prophecy into something else. It offered a specific, tactical solution. Sipsunji, the 10 victorious places, 10 specific remote locations prophesied to be safe from any disaster. Locations like Pungi, a mountainous region in Gyeongsang province, were more than just spiritual retreats. When analyzed today, they were scientifically sound quarantine zones. Epidemics thrive in high-density urban centers. The Sipsunji were geographically isolated deep in the mountains, creating a natural barrier against social contact. Their high-altitude air and pristine spring water provided a shield against waterborne pathogens. As stories spread of people surviving the plagues within these holy sites, the Jeonggamnok evolved. It was no longer just a forbidden text, it became a scientific survival manual. It is a stinging historical paradox. The lives the state failed to protect were saved by the very book the state tried to burn. 5. The science of information, the fatal allure of the forbidden. Despite centuries of systematic suppression, the Jeonggamnok haunted the royal court until its very last breath. Why couldn't the Joseon monarchs kill a mere book? The answer lies in a psychological phenomenon we now call the Streisand effect. It is a law of information theory. The more a government tries to censor or hide a piece of information, the more the public perceives that information as valuable, causing it to spread even faster. The more the House of Yi, the ruling family of Joseon, executed owners and torched manuscripts, the more the commoners believed, if the king is this desperate to stop us from reading this, the truth inside must be powerful enough to topple the world. Forbidden fruit is always the sweetest. The Jeonggamnok became the most potent underground media in Korean history. Even King Gojong, the 26th monarch and the first emperor of Korea, could not escape its shadow. Some historians analyze his 1897 declaration of the Korean Empire as a strategic rebranding, a desperate attempt to move beyond the end of the Yi Dynasty prophecy and build a new national image. Yet, ironically, the sites Gojong scouted for his new capital perfectly overlapped with the auspicious lands identified in the Jeonggamnok. Even the emperor himself was trapped in the book's narrative loop. Ultimately, the reason the Jeonggamnok made the kings of Joseon tremble for 500 years wasn't because of supernatural magic. It was a perfect social storm, a fusion of human psychological anxiety, catastrophic climate change, lethal plagues, and the desperate hunger for controlled information. The kings were so busy burning the books that they forgot to burn the true source of the fire, the hunger and fear of their own people. This 600-year-old mystery leaves us with a heavy question for our own time. In an era where information overflows, are we truly any different? Are we still losing ourselves to the dark prophecies and anxious headlines of the modern world?